Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspiration Morning Live. I am Christina Crowley, and I help those who are going after their passion. And I also do some SEO work, but my favorite work is helping those who go after their passion. And I want to thank those of you who are here live and those of you who watch the replay, because I know that, not all of us can be on at the time when I go live. And our schedules don't always match. So I appreciate those of you who watch the replays. It's great to have you. And those of you who'd like to give me some hearts while you're watching this, some thumbs up, I'd really appreciate that, because when I'm doing that, when I'm doing my live and when I get those, even in the replays, it helps Facebook see that I'm doing the lives, and it helps it so that it more of the Inspiration Morning community know that I'm doing these Facebook Lives. So I really do appreciate those. And how are you this morning? I really, so far I've had a wonderful morning. And, I got Millie, we went out for our walk. I'm a little windblown. But, so far it's a really wonderful day. And, started out, rolling out of bed. But getting up for me I love it. I love getting up early, but it is hard. And that kind of brings me into what I want to talk about today, and that is perfectly imperfect. And I've ranted about this before. Early when I first started these Facebook Lives, I talked about perfectly imperfect, things being perfectly imperfect. And our minds, as we get further away from an event, will see things better and more perfect than ever. It's it's just kind of the way our minds work, and it's okay. It's a good thing, because as we get away from events, we should see them in hindsight being, better, or maybe as better events. And I think we need to realize that nothing is perfect. And how things happened was perfect. It was how it was supposed to be. I have a friend and a sister who say, things work out the way they're supposed to, something like that. It's how it's supposed to be. And, for years I hated that, because I always felt like, we do have control over certain things. We have free will. And I appreciate that. And I think that's how, let me adjust this here a little bit. That's how we have the life we want. And I talked yesterday about taking personal responsibility for your life so that we have the life we want, so that we can make choices. We can choose how we feel. Come here, Miss Mill. Miss Millie is my dog. Those of you who see this and wonder why, she's crying or whatever, she's a dog. Plutsy girl. Plutz, 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 plutz. That's a perfectly imperfect kind of thing. This Facebook Live this morning, it might get a little loud. Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining me. I am talking about perfectly imperfect. And with nothing being, we have to realize that there is nothing that is perfect. Things are really awesome. Things are really great. There's a perfect tens. There's many things that we label the perfect thing on. And that's fine, and that's fun, and that's great. But I'm talking about, when we come into our own lives, nobody's life is truly perfect, though it looks that way. I think sometimes we think that we should have the perfect fill in the blank, and it's for many reasons. I see, let me take the example. I watch Hallmark movies. I love them. I used to work for the channel, and I love watching them. And so for me, it's something I enjoy watching. I love the Christmas movies, and somebody just left this. But and I watch them, but they're perfect scenes. They are set up to be their version of perfect. And what you have to think about is there's 50 people behind that scene making it perfect. So, and when I worked in LA, you had to realize that early on, and when, nothing is perfect, what is, I'm not saying accept things that are really bad. I'm not. It is it's about, going, what I have is good now. I think it works well with being grateful. with looking for your abundance and, writing down lists of what you're grateful for. I do that a lot. It helps me a lot. There are times when I am worried about things. I sit and think about, what am I grateful for? And, it's okay that, life ain't perfect. Sometimes life really isn't what, you've worked for it to be. But that's okay. It's perfectly imperfect. Did it give me other choices along the way that I took? Maybe that's why life changed and is different. And that's possible. Maybe some things happened that we didn't want. Hello, good morning. We're talking about being perfectly imperfect and what perfectly imperfect means to our lives, and that it can bring more joy and happiness into our lives. I know that for me, I think about how grateful I am when things are not perfectly imperfect. Now, I think about, talking about there are no such things as perfect. I think about my first trip to Paris. I look back on that and it was a dream come true. I wanted to go there my whole life. For as early as I realized, how beautiful Paris was, the more I learned about Paris, the more I wanted to go there. And I went there. It was after my 27th, 28th birthday. I'm not sure which. No, my 31st birthday. Anyway, I wanted to go there, and I went there. It was a coach trip, and you shared a room with a stranger. And, I remember that trip being perfect. There were a lot of imperfections about it. I got lost. There's a lot of good stories within that. While I was there, I was a little nervous, but I was shown it. And that trip turned out to be absolutely perfectly imperfect. I was broke. On the way back, and on the coach to London, where I was living at the time, I looked and I didn't think I had enough money to get the tube all the way home, or even the bus all the way home. And from central London, I didn't know my way walking. And, but I forget about that when I think about my trip to London. It turns into more of an perfectly imperfect story. The worry has gone away. And I think in hindsight, things get better. Things get prettier. When you're further away, it's kind of like a Monet painting. When you stand further away, gosh, they're beautiful. When you come close up, you're like, it could kind of look like a mess. Good morning. Hello. Thank you for joining me. I see we have a couple of people on. Those little eyes are showing more people. Thank you for joining me today. We're talking about perfectly imperfect. And if you want to add something about your perfectly imperfect, something you look back on that is perfectly imperfect, then awesome. Go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd love to hear. Give me some thumbs up or some hearts. I really like those. I think those are fun. They help us reach more in the Inspiration Morning community and on my Facebook page, which is where I also shared this. But my first trip to Paris, when I went there, was perfectly imperfect. And I forget about how, I do get nervous. I do get anxious. I do have a touch of anxiety. And back then, it did, I was in a lot of new situations. So I worked on that muscle of being able to go into new situations and going on a trip with 40 strangers that I did not know. I barely found the place to pick up the bus to where it took us over. It was a nice coach. It wasn't a bus. So I remember that as being perfectly imperfect. I remember my time in LA as being perfectly imperfect. And I found the right people. I found the right place to live. I feel like maybe I had a guardian angel that made it perfectly imperfect. Would it have been perfect? How would it have been more perfect? I don't know. Well, I would have gotten the perfect jobs, but nobody does. I got a lot of great jobs. I got a lot of great experience. And that's kind of what I found when I came home to Denver. It's been perfectly imperfect. There's been a lot of things that have happened over the past 16 years that I've been here. Life is perfectly imperfect. There is no perfect fill in the blank. There is no perfect. There are beautiful and wonderful and amazing weddings, and they're very well put together because they have an amazing person who was able to plan it, or the bride knew exactly what they wanted, and there was a ton of work that went into it, and they made it perfect. They made it beautiful. They made all the things come together, and there are some that turn out perfectly imperfect. And so we see a lot of things in our lives. Like this morning, it went up 10 degrees on our walk, and it started getting muggy and it started getting hot, but that was the perfectly imperfect part of it. the mugginess, but the beautiful morning, and it's green out because it rained cats and dogs last night. It's lightning and thunder, but this morning it is beautiful and green, and there's lots of blooms. And I swear the grass in the gulch grew a foot overnight. There's lots of pussy willows in there. I swear they grew up overnight, and I noticed them more, but maybe they were more vibrant and green. So for me, putting up with the imperfect that I don't like. I saw a bunch of other people walking, and they were just as happy. Maybe they loved the heat, and maybe they loved the rose 10 degrees in a half an hour that we were out there walking. So within our lives, when you realize that nothing is perfect, it opens you up to more joy. It opens you up to more control and happiness over your feelings. When I talked yesterday about being, responsible for your own lives, realizing that nothing is perfect is a part of that. I think that's part of the theme. When there are certain things we can't take control over, there's things that we don't have control over. We don't have control over other people. We don't have control over the weather. We don't have control over a number of things. We do have control over our feelings. We do have control over our actions. We do have control over our reactions. And, I say we have control over what we're grateful to. I love being grateful. I love having gratitude and showing gratitude, or writing gratitude lists. And when I'm anxious in my mind, going over my gratitude lists. I love meditation. That helps me pull together, I think getting rid of our worry. Some people have varying degrees of worry, or we call anxiety. Yours truly. So, I just want to say, go through your day and realize what is perfectly imperfect. When you go, that is perfectly imperfect, and we don't have control over others, we have control over ourselves. And I am the worst. I'm definitely one of those people who I have to work on this constantly. And, but it makes for a happier life, and it makes for me to turn to my gratitude much more often. And it, makes me look on things and be wondrous and find that joy. Find the joy in my life again and continually. So I want to say ta-ta and thank you for watching me. Please share this Facebook Live. Click the hearts, click the thumbs up if you find that this has been helpful. And I love hearing from you. And so if you want to, feel free to put in a comment in the comments. When I'm live, I can respond to those, and I love to respond to those. But if you feel like, as you're watching this, if you watch this and you want to put something in the comments, feel free, go ahead. Feel free to message me. I do respond to them, and I respond to them as quickly as possible. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And we're talking about a perfectly imperfect, realizing nothing is perfect. People want a perfect fill in the blank. They want a perfect car. They want the perfect house. They want the perfect life. They want the perfect dog. They want the perfect, let any number of things roll off of what we want to be perfect. But sometimes the perfectly imperfect is the best. And being grateful for that is truly what is a gift. It's a gift to ourselves. And so I want to say thank you again, and ta-ta for now. And I look forward to seeing you on my next Facebook Live.